Hello YouTube and welcome to another video. Once again we've got a bit of a mess of a video, but not because I went riding this time, unfortunately, just because I've been doing kind of random bits and things. I still haven't even ordered my epoxy for the bed plate or for doing the floor of the X2, and so I got into doing some engine work. I told you guys a couple of videos back that I had to get into doing a little bit of engine work so that I would know what pieces that I was missing. In doing it, I ended up rebuilding the carburetors, and I probably won't show a whole lot about that because it's kind of boring and I didn't film much of it. Anyway, let's get into the video. I will see you guys at the end. Alright YouTube, I'm certain that some of you are going to be disappointed about me not powder coating the engine before putting it in the ski, but I'm not doing it for two reasons. One is for time. I don't have a lot of time, and I'm putting the engine together right now because I'm currently waiting for some other stuff for the X2. And the other reason is that very likely this engine is going to come apart and have some modifications done to it. Alright, I got my assembly goo, I got my Permatex anaerobic sealant, here is my gasket kit. I don't know if I told you guys this before, but one of the interesting things about assembly lube, it goes together like grease so it stays where you put it, but then as soon as you warm it up a little bit, it thins out and it turns into oil. I don't know if it's just this transmission stuff or if it's all of the assembly lubes, but it turns extremely thin. Those of you who have been watching my channel for a while will remember that when I got the crank, I got it off eBay and it ended up getting lost twice in shipping, and the box was extremely damaged when I received it. This mark here, this bearing is very loose. It will just rotate around no problem whatsoever, and then when I rotate it 90 degrees, all of a sudden this bearing is snug, and then 180 degrees and I can't turn the bearing anymore. So that means the end of the crank is twisted. So the crank is twisted at least in one spot. So yay! Let's see. I'll look at it from this angle. So that's 0. And it goes to 8. So yeah. There's about 8 thousandths of run out on that end. I'm going to try the other end now. Applying grease generously to the lips of the seals. That bearing is now packed full of grease. I'll put this seal on. I'll put some in around the inside lip so that it has plenty. Alright, I found my dowel pins and I put them in. They were in kind of rough shape. I had to touch them up in the lathe with a file. But they're good now. I believe I am now ready to drop the crankshaft in. All right, that goes there, that goes there, that one's already sitting in place. These two go over that way. That one is locked and loaded. And there's just this last one. guys lined up. I'm going to put a little drop of Loctite on these guys here so they don't rotate, or chatter, I guess. They won't rotate because there's a locating pin. Just a little drop there and a little drop there, and I know you can't see that. Let's put this case on. I've got the bolts ready to go. I've got the torque specs in my brain piece. Got the dowel pins in there. We've got 2. One of the things that I like about this anaerobic sealant is it cleans off the outside of the cases pretty easily once you're done. Buttery smooth. Alright, the good news is that the crank is only out 2/1000ths now that I've tightened it up. So, fingers crossed, I'm pretty sure it's going to be okay. Here I have my pistons, and I think I have them all marked. This is M, so this is the mag side. I like using assembly glue on stuff because it stays in place even if you don't run the engine for months and months and months, which, let's be honest, is a possibility. I hope not. Let's see if I can get these in with my fingers. Probably going to need a flat screwdriver, which I have right there. Nope. Oh, I got that one in with my finger. But I'm not going to rotate it with my finger, that's for sure. Rotate it just to make sure that it's completely seated. Cover this in a thin film of grease, because anything thicker than just a thin film is just going to get scraped off when I slide the pin in. Okay. I probably should have did this the other way because I'm right-handed, but I wanted to be able to show the camera, so. Alright, stick my finger through, locate the center of the bearing, and slide the pin in. Pretty much guarantee I won't be able to get this one in with my fingers, but I'm going to try anyway. Oh, wow. Alright, while I have access to the other side of the connecting rods now, I'm going to smear some grease in the bearing galley things. I don't know what you call them. I'm sure there's somebody out there that doesn't think that this is a good idea. You might be right. I don't care. Makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Alright, so I'm going to attempt to put this center one on without using any kind of block method. I think I can probably get it on just with a little wiggle. Almost. There we go. Alright. Now I'm going to put a block here and a block here. Let's get it. Well, I guess the next logical step is to clean the head and the surface of the cylinder off, the deck of the cylinder off, and put the head on. Before I put the heads on this, I thought maybe I would do some bead blasting, so I decided to upgrade my blasting cabinet. I went and got some glass bead, and I started working on the vacuum system, and that led to basically a whole day of me playing with the vacuum system that I can't complete because I need a short piece of hose. The cylinder head is going to go on without getting bead blasted. This is what my sandblasting cabinet vacuum filter looks like after about an hour of blasting. So, for that reason, I'm going to try to make a dust collector so that this collects into a bucket instead of in my filter. Because as you can imagine, my vacuum doesn't have a lot of vacuum with all of this stuff stuck in the filter. I've seen a few videos on YouTube of people doing this. So I bought some of these orange buckets. I do not support this company, but they have cheap buckets. I bought some from Lowe's as well, but I'm not sure that the Lowe's ones would work because of the way the top of them is shaped. I cut it to all the way down underneath the third lip, just leaving one lip and this piece sticking out, just like you see here. And now this fits in there very snug. I actually have to push in on it a little bit to get it to go in. Let's see here. And it locks in place, has a nice airtight seal. I picked myself up some of these ABS fittings. I got a bunch more of them sitting behind the camera and a piece of 2-inch ABS pipe. It would be a lot cheaper to buy the vacuum, the central vacuum plumbing, but they didn't have any of those at the Lowe's that I went to, so I got these instead. Well, this is what I have for my sandblasting cabinet so far. I've got the threaded piece coming through the back of the cabinet. Got this 90-degree elbow that comes down into a T, and the reason why I put this here is because I'm going to make it so that I can actually put a vacuum hose on here, and then I can vacuum up around the shop and it will suck it into there instead of pulling it into there, which is where my vacuum is mounted now. So the wire still reaches that turns it on remotely. So what I think I'm going to do is have a piece of ABS pipe come down out of there, and then what I'll do is have a short piece of hose and then continue on with the ABS. The reason why I don't want a long piece of hose is because hose restricts the flow quite substantially. That ribbed hoses that they use for vacuums, it's not very efficient at flowing air. So I'm guessing that more than a few of you will be disappointed that I'm not doing any crazy stuff to this engine before putting it together. I know a lot of you would have liked to see me do some head work to this, some porting work, and I do plan on doing that stuff in the future, but this engine did have issues when the Jet Ski Brothers had it, so I want to put it together and make sure that I get the bugs worked out of it. I'm already putting a modified exhaust system in it. I'm putting it in a different hull. I'm going to be changing the cooling system around. Not sure about the ignition, whether it's going to work or not. So I've got a whole lot of things that I need to worry about without worrying about whether or not I have to do tuning work due to the way that I ported it, or trying to keep track of the you know, detonation from modifying the head and all that. So I'm going to put it together in basically stock form, and then afterwards it will get taken apart and modified. All right, they're all done. I'll do them once more. Head is now torqued on. What's next? Intake? All right, I was thinking about putting the exhaust or intake manifold on, and then I remembered that the exhaust manifold potentially had a crack in it. So what I did is I took some brake cleaner, because it has very little surface tension and it's able to go through cracks very easily. I sprayed some of that in there. And as you may or may not see, it's coming through there. So I do have a crack that I need to repair. All right, I think what I'm going to do now is install the reed valves. I got these reeds from Zach, so thanks to Zach for that. The ones that were sent with the engine were kind of rough, so yeah, needed some reeds, and Zach sent them to me. Now, do I even have enough nuts to put this thing on? All right, I'm not going to go into great detail about this, but I did pick up some carburetor rebuild kits for the carburetors for the 1100. And so I'm going to pull them apart, inspect them, and replace all the stuff that I think should be replaced. I think I have to take these jets out to see what they are, and that's one of the things that I definitely want to do. And if I don't put it in a video, I will forget. I'll have to ask you guys what I'm running for jetting, because I'm so forgetful. Surprise, surprise. This one is 78. So they must be the pilot jets. Let's take the PTO side jet out and see what size it is. Is it a 125? It's a 110, it looks like. 110, 105 for the center. 110, 105, and 115. Okay, so I'm probably going to get different jets. For those of you who are wondering why, it's because these are carburetors from a 900. Alright YouTube, I found out what jet sizes I'm supposed to have. I'm supposed to have 120, 120, and 125, and I have 110, 105, and 115. Alright, one more thing that I need to do to this, it's not very exciting, but it needs to be done, is install the starter Bendix bushing. This video is brought to you by Zach. Once again, Zach sent me some pieces. This time it is the starter Bendix bushing that goes in the case. One goes in the stator cover here, and one goes in the engine case. If it goes with too much difficulty, then I'll put some heat to the case, but you can tell when it gets to the bottom. I was going to put this in the lathe and clean some of this stuff up, but I would have to make an arbor in order to do that. I would have to turn a tapered shaft that was the same shape as the end of the crankshaft. If I'm going to take a chance on ruining a flywheel, I'm going to make sure that I have another one first, because my last adventure with modifying flywheels, ended with me ruining, I think, 3 of them, so I'm going to stay away from that for a little bit. This should be done on the floor. Yeah, not on a bench. Not on a bench this high anyway, without the engine being strapped down. First one is brown to brown. I need 0.7 to 1.1 ohms. .6, that's not a good sign.